I want to welcome everyone to Citywide PTO's question and answer session with the candidates tonight. My name is Kate Campbell. I am the co-president of Citywide. Liz Speakman is the other co-president. I really want to thank Frank Santoro, Courtney Perdios, Liberty Schaaf, and Vincent Tran for joining us tonight. This has become what I think is a really nice tradition of Citywide PTO offering this night to parents and community members. So we're very appreciative that you're joining us tonight. Tonight's question and answer session will be moderated by 3 students of Quincy and North Quincy High. I'm so thrilled that they agreed to do this. They're Amy Tan, Devereaux Fuller, and Mina Altikariti. Sorry, as my 3-year-old walks in just at this moment. So the format for tonight is as follows. Each candidate will have 1 minute for an opening statement. Then there are 6 questions tonight. Each student is going to ask 2 questions. All the candidates will be asked the same question, and you'll have 2 minutes to answer. After the 6 questions, you'll have 1 minute for a closing. And we're looking forward to hearing from all of you tonight. And again, thank you so much for joining us. And I am going to turn it over to Amy.
Hi, we're gonna start with opening statements. So you have 1 minute to speak your opening statement. We'll start with Frank, and then go to Courtney, and then Liberty, and then Vincent.
Well, first of all, let me apologize for my voice. I had throat surgery and my vocal cord isn't back to normal, but I'm hoping you can understand. I'll do my best. I am an experienced public educator, from the classroom to being an administrator. From those of you that know
Frank, your mic has stopped working.
I'll do my best.
No, you know what, Frank? We're going to come back to you. How's that? Do you want me to give you a minute to get your mic working, and we can shift over to Courtney?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Courtney Perdius, and I'm really excited to be here tonight. I just wanted to start off by letting you all know why I'm running for a seat on the school committee. Right now, there's no one on the school committee that has children currently in the Quincy Public Schools. Like many of you, I feel strongly that we need the voice of a parent on the school committee to make sure that we're discussing and addressing the challenges our students are facing today. I have 3 children myself, all in Quincy Public Schools. My oldest is a 10th grader at Quincy High. My middle is in 8th grade at Central, and my youngest is in 7th grade at Point Webster. I've been a volunteer and an advocate in our school community for over 10 years. Over the years, my volunteer work in the schools has connected me with many families across the district, many actually listening in here tonight, as well as many teachers and staff in our buildings. It's through those relationships that I hear about the issues our kids are having and learn about the experiences other families are having in QPS. I try to always raise up the voices that I hear so all families can feel represented and feel at home in Quincy Public Schools.
Time. And
thank you.
I believe Liberty, you're next in that lineup, or I can go to whichever works.
Thank you, Vincent. Hello, everyone. I'm Liberty Schaaf, and I'm very excited to be running for a seat in the Quincy School Committee. First and foremost, I am a mother to 6 fantastic children. 3 of them have already graduated from Quincy Public Schools, so I have the experience and I know what it takes to successfully have your child navigate that. And I also have 3 children that are still currently enrolled in Quincy Public Schools. My youngest is in 3rd grade, so we will be in the school system for quite a long time. I also have a degree in education and in business management. So not only do I have a good background of how the child's development happens, I also have the wherewithal to carry that out. I've been in many positions on several different PTO boards, spanning over 15 years, and that has brought me many experiences. I've got to see trials and tribulations. We are very lucky. Quincy Public Schools is a fantastic system, yet I see many areas where we could increase that, and I'm looking forward to working towards that.
Frank, do you want to try now with your mic?
If you can't hear me, I don't know what to say. Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay, good. First of all, let me thank you for this opportunity. I spent my life in public education in 3 different school systems. Teacher, administrator. I was the principal at Central, as well as the principal at Quincy. I'm happy to say that I have a lot to do with the design of the new Quincy. My board affiliations go as the chairman of Quincy Asian Resource. Quincy College. Let me have a partnership with the school system. I'm also sitting on the design team. I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Vincent, would you like to go?
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Great. Thank you so much, Kate and Liz, for organizing this, as well as the students. What you guys are doing is really cool. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for giving me this time to introduce myself. My name is Vincent Tran, but all my friends call me Vinny, so you can all call me Vinny as well. I'm running because I was a byproduct of the Quincy Public School system myself. I went to Beach Window Elementary, Central Middle School, and North Quincy High School. And then I was followed shortly afterwards by my 2 younger siblings. And I'm running because I want to give back and to help students succeed, because during my time through the Quincy Public School system, it was amazing. But there definitely were challenges, especially coming from a family that didn't primarily speak English at home. I really had to navigate a lot of things by myself. And sadly enough, there were certain things I just didn't know how things worked. And it was really hard to find support to get there or to get the right answers. But I believe that if I worked really hard, things would work out, and they eventually did. I ended up getting a full tuition ride to Hamilton College, where I studied sociology, while being a part of multiple cultural groups. But I'm also running because I have a younger sister who's a freshman at North Quincy High School. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to move on to our first question. This is addressed. No. So Courtney's going to speak first, and then Liberty, Vincent, and then Frank. So the question is, how do school committee members plan on repairing the relationship with QPS teachers and QPS parents after negotiations last spring?
Sorry, had to find my unmute button there. So actually, this issue is kind of what got me into the race. Aside from not having a parent on the school committee, watching kind of what our teachers had to go through last winter during the last contract negotiation was heartbreaking. Kind of watching them hold the school system up through COVID, getting our kids through all that, teaching through a screen, keeping kids engaged, doing their best to keep them learning. It didn't work for every student, but the staff certainly tried their hardest. And, it seemed to me that the time to show them that how much we appreciated them was during how we treated them during that last contract negotiation. And I don't think that we did that. I think we let them down. I think we disappointed them. And I was disappointed in our leadership for letting the negotiations get to that point, that they didn't feel respected. So that's what got me into the race, to say, if we don't have a parent on there, we don't have someone willing to speak up for our teachers, I'm certainly going to run again and see if I can get on there and make a difference, and try to show our teachers some respect that they deserve on there, and try to make sure that we're working with them, we're working collaboratively to get where they need us to be. If it's not in this particular contract, how do we do it over the long haul? Just sit down at a table and work through these things and make them feel valued. So absolutely working with them, keeping those lines of communication open, but first and foremost, showing them the respect and the gratitude that got us through COVID. So thank you.
Am I next? Would you just repeat the question, please?
How do school committee members plan on repairing the relationship with QPS teachers and QPS parents after negotiations last spring?
Thank you, Amy. Well, I think that after the negotiations, I think that the members of the school committee have always tried to support the teachers. I think that that's part of our role there. I think that the school committee does do a great job most of the time supporting the teachers, but there are times when we need to sit down and listen to both sides of the story. And I think now that negotiations have happened and contracts are in place, I think that we are set up perfectly to move forward and work collaboratively together to make the best education experience for all of our children.
Great. I guess it's my turn. My turn. In terms of how I would repair that relationship, I feel like, yes, Courtney said it was most tense during the negotiations, but as Liberty has said, after the negotiations, things are a little bit more normal. But I think the most important part is, having the open communication as well as compensating our teachers the way that they should be. To be quite frankly honest, they are raising the future of, not just Quincy or Boston, or basically America. What they do is very underrated, and that, they need to be compensated more correctly. Funny enough, I actually have a lot of friends in the Quincy public school system, and it's been really heartbreaking to hear how they would rather work in Boston because they pay better, they give better benefits. I believe that Quincy is a top tier city, and I think that, teachers have to be compensated as such. And so that's how, I would say open communication would be the most important thing to repairing that relationship with teachers.
Thank you. Let me first say that the negotiation sessions did not have to go the way they went. I think the parents had a lot to do with the extension of that. The city wanted two things. They wanted the teachers to open up their Aspen book so that parents could see their child's progress, not just their midterm. The teachers were unwilling to do that, and parents were supporting them at the time. You also had Gail Cavallo at your meeting talking about opening up communication, when in fact, at the next negotiations, they would not open their Aspen books. Also, the second thing we wanted was for teachers to be at their workstations. They currently do not have to be when the children come in, only on the property. We wanted that as a second thing. Ask your children if their teachers, especially at the high school level, are in their homes during the opening exercises. I'm willing to bet that many UT parents, many of you, supported them in not being in their workstations, in not opening up the Aspen books. We only wanted those two things, which they refused to do. The MTA had a lot to do with extending those negotiations. How can we repair it? What about on the school committee, like we used to have when I was president of City? They should sit just like the kids are now on a school committee seat. Also, I'd like to work with the teachers in creating a sick leave bank.
So this next question will follow the order of Liberty, Vincent, Frank, and then Courtney. The question is, what is your position on including Lunar New Year as a scheduled day off for the large percentage of our families that celebrate the holiday?
Again, thank you for the question, Amy. I know that there's been a lot of talk and debate over this, and I would be in support of adding Lunar New Year to the holiday, to the calendar as an acknowledgeable holiday.
Hi everyone. Yes, in terms of Lunar New Year, I would be a proponent or advocate for it. Going through the school system myself, me personally, I never took it, but my family always wanted me to stay home. Um, I will say that, regardless if it's approved or not, kids are going to take the day off either way, and that it would be a disservice for them to miss a day because of a cultural significant holiday. So, short answer, I would be an advocate for it.
From the person who made the motion to have Lunar New Year off, I'm a strong advocate of the majority of our students from Asian descent. That holiday should be recognized so that we, as a school system, can appreciate what it means to that community. Being the chairman of the Quincy Asian Resource Board of Directors, I would continue to fight to have Lunar New Year off. Even if I'm not on the committee, you will see me as the school committee discusses the issue for the next calendar year. Thank you.
Thank you. So honestly, to me, it seems like a no-brainer decision to include it, Lunar New Year as a no school day in Quincy. I was right there during the open forum with parents speaking in support of this and students speaking in support of this. Students actually brought forth a petition of signatures. And, we tell our students, get involved in the civic process. We encourage them to do that. And then we had students take part in the civic process. They came there, right on the heels of National Honor Society, where students, many of whom were of Asian American descent, were there. They shook hands with the school committee members. And then, we praised them for raising our schools up and being, making us proud. And then we say to them, well, I'm glad you took part in that process. I'm glad you're making our schools proud, but we're not going to give you that day off. And it's just very disrespectful to a culture that the majority of our student body is, and we need to realize that. And I think that we missed a big opportunity there. And I would have absolutely voted along with Frank to have that be a day off for our students. Thanks.
Okay, so for this next question, the order is as follows: Vincent, Frank, Courtney, and Liberty. The question is, 2023 was the hottest summer on record, and due to climate change, temperatures will continue to rise. During the first week of school, my math classroom at Quincy High School was 98 degrees. With additional concerns around student performance and learning loss, how do you think Quincy Public Schools could address climate control within school buildings?
I'll start first. I've definitely been there, especially in those classrooms. It can get hot. I would say that the school has to make a comfortable environment for kids to learn. And with climate change, with things getting hotter, the most common sense thing you could probably do is either open up the windows or to have AC. I don't think that's money poorly spent. I think that's actually a great investment into our students and the school, for teachers, staff, and students. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank is next.
Thank you, Mina. The schools, especially the new schools, you're given a sum of money, and it's all based on square footage. The more air conditioning you put in, the less square footage you have. It comes down to money. Putting in air conditioning in our buildings now is a very costly adventure. I don't know if the city can afford it, but this money certainly can't come from our school department budget. We have to seek alternative funding through grants or wherever to put in some kind of system where our older buildings cannot be air conditioned to have a better flow of cold air. But we're going to have to do it through
Thank you. Courtney is next.
Thanks, Mina. Yeah, so it's a two-pronged kind of problem here, right? What we do for our buildings going forward and what we do for our older buildings. So going forward, we absolutely have to make sure that air conditioning is part of these buildings going forward with climate change. And there's more days in June and in September that are really, really hot like this. And how can you learn when you're that hot, when it's 98 degrees? My oldest is at Quincy High and came home and, said the exact same thing, that it was just ridiculous and you can't learn. Teachers can't teach. It's not effective. So we need to make sure that we're including that in the plans for the new school buildings. The fact that Quincy High is not air conditioned, which it was originally in the plan to be fully air conditioned, but it got cut because to save some money. And looking back now, it would have been really great if we hadn't done that. So we need people on there who just see that, who are, have kids in there and see day to day when they come home how hard it is to try to learn when it's that hot. Older buildings, we do have to figure out the funding issue on it. It's a real challenge. Opening the windows when it's 99 degrees out isn't really going to help a lot. Fans aren't too expensive, so maybe we could try to go for that for now. That's going to take a lot of collaboration with public buildings to try to figure out how we address this in the older buildings. But retrofitting, one building at a time, maybe, and we just kind of do what we can to pick away at that. But the new buildings for sure, Squantum building going forward, the Squantum Elementary School, the new special ed to Christopher R. Learning Center, these should all absolutely have air conditioning be part of the plan moving forward. And we're gonna have to include it. So thank you.
Thank you. Liberty's next.
Thank you. So this has been a problem since I was going through Quincy Public Schools a million years ago back at Atherton Howe. It is hot in summer. It is. And it gets very cold in the winter. And we are dealing with some older buildings as well as some new buildings. And I say we do the best that we can with what we have. Obviously, like Frank said, this is a budgetary restraint. And obviously, we would all love air conditioning in all of the schools. I also have children in high school and elementary schools that come home and do complain about the same things. And you just do the best you can. Like Vincent said, we open windows, we buy extra fans. We do the best that we can with what we have, and we don't let it get in the way of our education system. That's all.
Thank you.
Devereaux, I think you're up.
Sorry about that. I was trying to, I didn't realize, okay. Sorry, okay. Oh, I should say the order first. The order for this question will be Frank, Courtney, Liberty, then Vincent. So starting with Frank, the question is, as a school committee member, how will you ensure there is a vision and a strategic plan with key stakeholder input for the next fiscal year? And if a strategic plan is implemented, what would you like to see included?
Talking about a strategic plan for the year, the school committee as a group sets up goals. Those goals, we try to make sure that they are implemented through the year as we conduct our meetings, either through subcommittee meetings or the general meetings. So strategic planning is important. We've invited an outside group to come in to help us do our strategic plan for next year. We're spending an all-day session as a full committee with this person who's coming to us as a result of our request. So hopefully our committee as a group will design a plan. Thank you.
All right. Oh.
I'm sorry, Devereaux. My screen froze just as you were asking the question, and then I got kicked off and came back. So I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
That's all good. Let me, okay. As a school committee member, how will you ensure there is a vision and strategic plan with key stakeholder input for the next fiscal year? And if a strategic plan is implemented, what would you like to see included?
That's a great question. So yeah, we definitely need a plan, and it needs to be transparent. It needs to be open. We need to communicate with our staff, with our teachers, with our families. We need to have listening sessions where it's not, plans aren't already set ahead of time, and we're just kind of presenting it to these different stakeholders. We're actually including them in the conversation earlier and getting their input, getting their ideas, getting their feedback, and trying to work with them to try to make a plan. I don't think any of the members on the school committee know all. We have to work with everyone to understand what our priorities should be. Definitely the planning session that Frank mentioned is a good opportunity to do that at the school committee level, but you need to have those conversations first with the stakeholders to know what those priorities should be, and they need to be communicated, and just kind of constantly be fluid so we can make room for what the priorities are as they change and evolve. Thanks.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this. I think that it is extremely important to have planning in place, and I think that should start with the parents and the teachers and the administrators, the people that are there every day dealing with the teachers, dealing with the children and the curriculum, and seeing firsthand what they have to say. I think that we don't take parent input into consideration enough right now, and I know that there are a lot of parents that are very concerned with what their children are learning and would really relish the opportunity to have some input and say where they think that these goals should be placed and what they'd like to see their children learning, as well as speaking with the teachers and the parents. And I would love to work collaboratively with everyone. I think that if you put aside your own views and you look at what is best for the children, you can work as a team, you can accomplish quite a bit.
Great. I'll go now. I think a lot of us, we started with the same ideas. It starts with the stakeholders, which are the parents first of all, as well as students. I would first be listening to students and parents about what they're concerned about and what they need work on, and then meet with the school committee to figure out how can we best accommodate those goals and to get there. And I think most importantly too is to have regular check-ins to see how close and how far you are on making progress on these goals, because you can set as many plans or goals that you want, but if you're not constantly aware of where you're currently at, the plans is kind of pointless. And what I would like to see in those plans or goals would be post high school preparation, digital literacy and practical life skills, and improving communications about students' performances to parents. Thank you.
All right, the order for the next question will be Courtney, Liberty, Vincent, then Frank. And the question is, how will you hold the QPS administration accountable for the issues that parents and caregivers raise, including bullying, lack of specialists, racism, or other things?
Thank you for that question. Holding QPS leadership, kind of accountable is what we have to do. It's being on the school committee. You have to care more about being an advocate than you do about being a politician. You have to remember who you're advocating for. You're advocating for our students. You're advocating for our families. You're advocating for our teachers. You're advocating for our staff, for what they need. And as soon as we lose sight of that, that's when things start getting really complicated and really political, and it makes it more difficult than it really needs to be. You just stay focused on those kids and the priorities that that they're still facing, like you say, like bullying, like racism, a lot of different issues that kind of persist, that we just really need to kind of do that. But I think staying focused on those children is how we kind of keep ourselves in check, and being an independent voice, not being beholden by a vote, not being a rubber stamp, just having your own voice and your own say, and being able to speak up when you don't agree with something is absolutely very important. And you can agree with people sometimes, and you can disagree with them other times, and it's okay. That's why we have that many members on the school committee, so that we can have that kind of robust conversation, and not everyone has to kind of all fall in line. We can ask questions, and we can, ask the tough questions that get the right answers and the right results for our kids. So thank you.
So the way I would hold them accountable, sadly, I've already been down this road several times. If any parent on here has ever had a child that needs resources and you've had a fight put up against you, you understand how important it is to become an advocate and to hold the administration accountable. And you just can't stop. You need to keep making the phone calls. You need to look deeper. You need to find out who the right people are to talk to. You need to figure out how to make this work and where you can go, what the next steps are. I possess that roadmap, and I would love to share that with everyone. I would love to let everyone know that it doesn't have to be this difficult to get the resources that you need. And I think that, again, if we work together, if we use teamwork, that anything is possible. I think that we could really get Quincy Public Schools to a place where we could be nationally revered. We have a great educational system, but we could do a little bit better, and holding the administration accountable is one way to do that.
I guess I'll start now. Yeah, in terms of holding QPS leadership responsible, I think that it not only requires the help from teachers, students, and parents, but the entire community. I would first start off to see where these issues rise or how they can, and then see how these problems rise and see what steps we can take to accommodate everyone and solve those issues. I think the most important thing we have to think about is keeping students top of mind, because I believe that school should be a place where everyone wants to go and is able to learn, but also feeling safe as well as supported doing so.
I think what's important is that everybody has to have ownership in their school. Students have to know that they have a voice through their representation, a voice that's heard by their administration. Parents need to know that when they meet, it's not just to raise money, it's to discuss issues within the building. Teachers need to know that they have a voice in their own school. We know that Quincy High, when I was there, we started team time, where teachers that are interdisciplined can meet and discuss how to make their school a better school. Once you create this ownership, and an ownership in the handbook that rests within the building, you create an environment that won't have problems. I've been there. You have very few problems, but everybody has a stake in the solution. I created the student council president office next to mine at Quincy High School. We collaborated on what was bought the kids through assemblies, quarterly assemblies that the students ran. The same with teachers and the same with parents. Create the ownership. You'll have a lot less problems.
Thank you. The next order is as follows: Liberty, Vincent, Frank, and Courtney. And this will be the last question. A hot topic across the country is how school committees are navigating pressure to ban books and not teach holistic and accurate history. Please share your stance on this.
As a member of the Thomas Crane Public Library Board of Trustees, we talk about banned books all the time. I am a fan of books. I'm a fan of information. Banned books, not all books are appropriate for the school libraries and for children. Could you repeat the question? I'd like to go in depth to all of it.
A hot topic across the country is how school committees are navigating pressure to ban books and not teach holistic and accurate history. Please share your stance on this.
history is so ridiculously important. I really firmly believe that if we do not teach history as it happened, we are doomed to repeat it. I know that that is such a cliche statement, but really we can learn everything through history, what has already happened. And I think it is extremely important that we focus on academics such as history, mathematics, etc.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vincent is next.
Great. Thanks so much, Mila. In terms of banning books, I don't think that, I don't think banning is necessarily the answer to whatever the problem is. Especially with holistic and accurate history, I don't think, there's anything wrong with that per se. At the very least, I think, exposing our students to it will actually help them, have a dialogue, whether they disagree or agree with it. At the very end of the day, I think it's important to teach our kids how to learn and how to actually take information and think about it through their own lens, whether they agree or not, and then be able to communicate that in a very healthy way. But I don't think banning, holistic and accurate history makes a lot of sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank is next.
Well, most of the curriculum is dictated by the state. We have to do the standards that they ask us to do. How we get to those standards is up to us. We have people working within the superintendent's leadership team that constantly address curriculum as well as how we best meet the standards. I would be opposed to having groups of people discuss, made up of students, teachers, and administrators, when it comes to accepting the books we use to get those standards done. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Courtney is next.
Thanks, Mina. So I am not an advocate for banning books. There was one instance this past school year where there was one book pulled out of a middle school and a high school library because it had sexually explicit how to do a sexual act chapters in the book. That obviously we can't have that level of sexual specificity on an actual sexual act with middle school and high school kids. So in that aspect, I'm not for banning books as far as subject matter, but I think, how to sexual manuals, I don't think anyone would really be okay with having in our schools. So that's where I stand on that. I think our students should be allowed a variety of topics to read. They should see different family setups in their books, single parent households, 2-parent households, same gender households, for parents and different things. So I think that I don't think banning topics in books is something that we need to be doing. And as far as the history, I think a lot of this, people ask me a lot at the doors when I door knock about CRT. Do I want to bring CRT to Quincy? CRT is not a K-12 it's not a K-12 thing. It's not something that we put in K-12 education. 2 years ago, this came up. No one running then, no one now is for putting I shouldn't speak for the people here, but no, I would not be for putting CRT into our K-12 education because it's not where it belongs. Teaching history, as Frank mentioned, there are standards that we teach to the standards. Teaching context, teaching actual factual battles and things like that, and having some context as to what different groups may have felt about that battle or how they felt. I think that's fine. I think you're teaching history. You're just teaching a little empathy and compassion on what other peoples at the time may have felt, not just the people fighting in it. So thanks.
Amy, you're up.
Sorry. So now it's time for candidates' closing statements. We're going to go, you have 1 minute, and we're going to go in the order of Vincent, Frank, Courtney, and then Liberty.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Kate and Liz and the Marius for the great questions, as well as the viewers at home. I hope I didn't disappoint you guys. I look forward to trying to bring my unique perspectives of being a former student as well as being an Asian American to make our schools a better place for just not only our parents, staff, but most importantly, our students. And a vote for me is a vote for the future students of Quincy. Thank you so much.
We can't hear you.
Again, I apologize. My voice is should be had surgery. I want to say that we've been through the most difficult 4 years with the pandemic. I was proud to sit on the committee as we came through the pandemic. I would also like to say that among cities and districts our size, we have high graduation rates in cities and towns. We have low class size. We're in a fifth new building. We have a very good school system. We have more to do. Safety, social, emotional, mental health, and hiring a staff that's reflective of our student population are all important. I look forward to working on those issues. Thank you to Citywide, and thank you, students, for what you've done for us tonight. Thank you.
All right, I guess I'm up. So I want to also thank Citywide PTO, Kate and Liz, for all you do throughout the year, and for hosting this tonight, and our student moderators. You guys were great. Everyone listening in, I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to why I'm running and why this work is so important to me. I really love doing this work. I've advocated for the children in Quincy schools as a parent, as a PTO officer, as Citywide PTO, past former president, co-president, and as a school committee member for 10 months back in 2021. In my short time on the school committee, I worked hard, brought up issues, asked a lot of questions, even the tough ones. I spoke up when I didn't agree, and I was never a rubber stamp. I strongly believe that the day-to-day interaction with the school system that a current parent brings is critical to making sure the leadership of our school system stays connected to the experiences, needs, and challenges of our current students, families, and our teachers and staff. I'd love the opportunity to get back on there and to continue being a voice for our students and our families. I respectfully ask for your vote on November 7th. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, Citywide, for putting it on. And students, I think you did a great job with those questions and navigating the Zoom. I know it's not super easy. I still have trouble with it sometimes. But I would like to say that I would love your consideration. I would appreciate your vote. I believe I am a fantastic candidate for school committee because I have a degree in education. I have a background teaching children. I have the roadmap to let you help you get your children from kindergarten all the way to graduated, whether they're an advanced learner, need special needs, extra resources. And I'm also vested. I'm going to be in this system for several years with my children. And I would honestly really like to bring Quincy Public School systems to a higher level that I know that we can do if we all work together. Thank you for your consideration, and thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I want to thank Frank and Courtney and Liberty and Vincent. We really appreciate you giving us this opportunity to hear from all of you. And I really want to thank our students for really showing us some wonderful civic engagement here, and our parents and our students for these questions. I mean, this is all driven by the community that we serve, right? So I just thank everyone for coming tonight. And really, importantly, I just hope whoever candidate speaks to you, I just hope people vote. I think that is our message tonight. Hey, listen to these candidates. They are all sharing where they're coming from, taking the time to run for office. And we just hope that you read up and vote. So thank you very much for coming.